Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Tiabu, and I am here 1 week after we finished Blue Blazes, or Aoi Hono, the semi-autobiographical story of how Kazuhiko Shimamoto spent his time at art school and ran into some figures who would become rather important in the anime industry and made them his rivals. After the events of art school and after the Daikon animation, which got some recognition. Then after the second Daikon animation for Daikon 4, the one that really blew up, Hideaki Anno, Hiroyuki Yamaga, and some other homies decided to dip their toes into the anime industry at large and see if it was really the right choice for them by producing a 2-hour high-budget animated feature film called Royal Space Force, later rebranded Royal Space Force The Wings of Honneamise, or just The Wings of Honneamise, which is a weird name. It sort of sounds like mayonnaise. That's always what I think when I see that title come up. But I've never seen this film. As far as I know, it was kind of a box office flop that got a lot of later attention, sort of like a cult following, but not quite, for its really cool world building and other cool things about the film that it's pretty good. So I thought that the perfect thing to do right after we watched Aoi Hono is to watch what many of the characters represented by Aoi Hono went and created immediately afterward. Well, a number of years afterward, but still. So this came out in 1987. It was scripted and written and screenplayed and stuff by Yamaga himself, and he was attempting to punch a meal ticket with a full-length 2-hour feature film. Side note to aspiring creatives and creators: start with shorter media. Start with like a one-off 20-minute OVA and see if you can sell some copies of that instead of going full box office, let's make a goddamn movie. But if you're gonna make a movie, you know what? Go hard, make the whole movie. I've heard a lot of varied things about this movie. Some people love it, some people don't. Some people find that portions of it and the animation quality and the world building and stuff is super cool, but the actual film is way too long and drags. I've seen some varied reviews of this thing. I've also seen that there is an immense amount of information about the production and what went wrong with this film, because you've got a bunch of creatives who don't have any experience in the industry running a studio for the first time and not really knowing what they're doing. A large portion of it was backed by Toshio Okada. This is like the thing that was going to be the launch of Gainax Studios, and it was, and it did, and it's really cool, and it impressed a lot of people, but it also was a financial failure, and probably there were some ideas that were probably not the best ideas. I know very little about it. I know that it's space-based because Royal Space Force. I know that there's something called mayonnaise, Honneamise. I don't know what that means. And I know that it's going to attempt to be really interesting and like have some lessons and morals and ideas to it. Whether those are successful in conveying what they're trying to convey, or they fail or they flop, I don't know. We'll just have to see. What we will definitely get out of this is some really cool, really high budget 1980s era animation from some of the greatest animators to be, and some of the greatest producers and storyboarders and creators and things that are just sort of starting their time in the anime industry with this fucking film. I think that's all I have to say here at the beginning. Let's go ahead and jump in. As you can see, I brought my whole teapot up because I'm gonna have to have refills because this is quite a film. And I woke up early specifically to watch this because I want to watch this, and then gym will be later in the day. So this is a movie. This makes our like third full-length film in a week and a half, so I might want to think about taking some breaks coming up. But for now, I've got the energy, I've got the time, and I want to watch this movie that I've never seen and see what the fuss is about. So I went and downloaded Honneamise no Tsubasa from Nya, where I normally get my media. I downloaded the Essex Sales version because Essex Sales does good rips off of DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. So this this is a Blu-ray disc rip with the true HD and all of the things and stuff, and hopefully it's as close to the original as we can get, minus scan lines and things, and that sounds really good to me. This is OVAdrive, and we're gonna watch something kind of old. Buckle up, get ready, because we got a 2-hour film to watch. Ha! Ooh, okay. I've got Royal Space Force: The Wings of Honneamise sitting at on my screen up at 0 seconds. There will be 2 versions of this reaction video. You can find a picture-in-picture version with the video up in the corner for your easy purposes. It'll be linked in multiple places down in the description. And then there will be the timer-based version, which you're currently watching if you're hearing me say this. If you want to sync up your own copy with the timer-based version and head straight into the discussion after the movie is done, you are more than welcome to do so. Just get your copy of the film ready to go, and get ready to push the button, because there's a beep beep timer that will be coming at you that will go boop, 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 beep, and on the beep and the green light is when you should hit the button. If you want to support this kind of content and help me make more stuff and also stay alive and things, then you can check out the Patreon down below and get things a little bit early. No ads on any of my videos. That's how I do things, and that really helps me out. And also thank you to all of you who do support the channel. You guys are the bomb. Let's do this. Royal Space Force: Wings of Honneamise, 2-hour film, 1987. Lots of crazy staff members, probably a whole lot of effort put into this production. Let's see how it pans out. Beep beep timer. Does the logo retain the big eye? I don't think so. I think the eye becomes normal sized. But I don't know. I haven't seen the Gainax logo in a while. It's the sky. Oh wow, it's not the sky. That was actually trippy. That's the sky. That's a pretty sky. Also, solid character design. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. It's kind of quiet. Okay, right in the middle. Okay. Already the mechanical stuff and just the art on stuff is amazing. The texture to everything and the amount of motion. Uh See, it's not just that it's quiet. It's like it's not right. The ADR, the dubbing is a little bit off. Okay, there's sound. So it's not quiet. I I really like this track. Oh, cool. We got references to Wright brothers and stuff with a cool style. What? Development, development. Rockets. Children. And we're back to reality. Quality. Already, each scene sort of screams quality. Okay. Cool. Fans, light. That's really interesting. We Pat Labor? Got burbs. Birds in a graveyard. What are those wavy things? Oh. It's traditional soldier garb. Gendo? Where's your uniform? I was staring at a wall, man. You can be a snarky boy. Ah. You fucking what? Hey, I'm trying to do a ritual here. You pay him by the hour. All right. Audio switches sides. Audio switches to the middle. We've been asked these things. Fair. Dude, super fair. Okay, so we've got a bit of a progress versus tradition sort of scenario here. A weird sci-fi bagpipe. Holy shit. I guess it's more like an accordion, honestly. Oh, is it now? Whoa, what a location. Is this actually a training ground? It seems to be. Why not? Oh, that's why. Bruh, you don't want the bread? Yeah, do you have a choice about being in the military? Deep thoughts. Ow. Hey. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Instant world building. Go over the push-ups. Those are like semi-Hindu push-ups. That's weird. That's a cool shot. Man, these locations are detailed as hell and have a ton of depth to them. And then the photography of the cells that are moving on top of them are really excellent. Got weird space hookah. Got arm wrestling ladies. Please don't put that on me. Everything was moving in that shot. Like everything. That's kind of fucking impressive. Man, whoever's throwing... Oh, never mind. I was going to say they've got great aim. Drinking from ampules. That's a cool shot of fire. He wants to send people to space for sure. Different weird cards, like... They have gone all out on creating a different world. It's very interesting. I don't understand the game, but I kind of want to play it. Oh. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. Maybe. That could be set up. I feel like it's not. Okay. All right, we're going for a crazy night on the town. How many clowns can you fit in a clown car? Apparently too many. Really? Okay. Somebody's gonna fall off that car. All right, we got weird arcade things. That was a mechanical contraption with a real person on it, right? Crazy. Man, the depth in all of these shots. Oh, that's a lot of budget. Does she fully just not know his name, or again, Ton? Not my name. Awkward. Uh-huh. All right, welcome to the red light district, I guess. And that guy had some hops. Fully the red light district, huh? Yep. That's a cool fucking shot, though. Oh, does it? Foreshadow me some shit right here. All right. Define sin, please. Okay, what is the path of righteousness? Uh-huh. Is this a dream? Nope. How did I get here? Where am I? Where are we? Where did we go? Bad time for somebody to start vacuuming, but somebody just started vacuuming. But that's the pamphlet that he took, right? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that seems like an ominous thing. Sleeping in a dead man's bed. Creepy. Also, what the fuck? End of the line. Man, the background art is so unique and good. I mean, we're only a few minutes in. We're 15 minutes in. I'm really impressed with this film so far. I don't know where it's going. I don't know if any of the things that we've seen have been effective setups. There have been some things that are like setups. Oh, that's a happy child. Is this the kid of the guy who's dead? That's gonna be my guess here. Hello. Goodbye. Yep, that's the... No, this is the flyer place. Okay. Actually? Really? 180. We're having our cult meeting. There's nobody else in the cult. It's just you and me. What in the whole clothing thing with the one side with the design is really interesting. Is there like a meaning to those? Why? Okay. Hello, angry child. Black coffee. All right. Hello, angry child. How do you take your muck? Oh. Shatter. Oh. What? Are you blind? The kid hates him. What? I mean, you're... What? That's the creamer? You're just drinking the creamer. Time to say grace. All right, we got this weird clash of weirdly semi-traditional values. Okay. Okay. So that's supposed to be relatable. Have you read the... Gotcha. What? What? Yoink. Child, why do you have a bug on a string? What the fuck? Right, and you've never been to space. You're just training for it. Ooh, There's an analogy there. Constantly training for something that's never gonna happen. I mean, he knows about as much about them as you do. Or they'll murder each other. All right. Not yet. It has wings? Oh, the string bug that flies but keeps getting held down? Another metaphor. Oh. Okay. That's not fun. Ha 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 ha. Hee 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 ha ha. Suddenly he's motivated. The shadow was excellent. And the way they're all overlit. Not much, apparently, because you haven't gotten people into space. That guy is fully out. Right, okay, so we're getting budget cutted. Cool, we gotta make some moves. Nyah. Mm-hmm. Uchu Senkan, eh? Wonder why we slipped that one in. Indeed. So, nobody believes in their own. Oh my god, man. Nobody believes, but somehow he got snapped into it. Is that for Akira? Looks kind of familiar. I'd do it. He's up. He's up. I'll do it. Come on, bud. Stand up. Yep. You fool. Uh-huh. What? No other volunteers? Okay, then. You are the first meat sack to go into space. Good luck getting on. Nobody? Nobody? Okay. Nobody wants to get on the exploding rocket that we're not sure works? Okay. How dare you step out of line? Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Training montage. He's actually sciencing. Solve a Rubik's Cube underwater in 25 seconds. Oh, we're bungee jumping. Boing. I get used to incredible shifts in G-forces. P.S. We don't know how to land a spaceship. He didn't care. Uh-huh. It's a war against space. Oh, we may have to skip. We might not have oxygen scrubbers, you know? We don't have those yet. Bye. Ah. Hmm. Hmm. So you're gonna get real disrespected by the Air Force now. Oh yeah, we're actual soldiers. Oh, it's a big plane. And it's got a lot of propellers. Oh, that water is stellar. With the cloud reflections? It's a hell of a plane to start with. Yeah. Man, the reflections are all so fucking good. How do you even do that in Cell Era? How do you actually do that in Cell Era? I don't know. All right. That's good. That's good. That's necessary. You need that compression to keep blood in your brain. Motherfucker. Put that shit back. Hi. All right, this is our first chance to show off. Starting with the propellers looking really good. I wonder if that's Anno. I don't know. There are a lot of people working on this movie. It's hard to say. We're looking for momentum and conveyance of the experience. Okay. We don't have expressions from our characters, which makes things harder. Because they've got the masks on. Kicking into gear. Oh, that might actually be very helpful. That was a choice. What a good choice. And away we go. This is a pretty cool sequence. Oh, we're doing a full drop? No, we're still going up. Okay. Yeah, get some G-forces. And we do get to see his expressions because we made that choice. The shadow. Perfect mirror for our own emotions. Welcome to a new world. That was a fascinating sequence. That was really cool. I gotta give it to the show. So he spent his time above the clouds and he comes back in the rain. Welcome back to Earth. Nothing will ever compare. Oh yeah, you're gonna throw up for sure. Ha ha ha. We're all used to this stuff. Ha ha. Can I have your cup? Thank you. Bah. It's not all about fighting. He goes for the chair and he takes the chair. Oh, fuck you, man. Yeah. Oh, hey. Okay. And the brawl begins. We are outnumbered. Ow. Oh, we did set up Big Boy. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, he is still losing it. I know I kind of started this fight, but I can't. Please don't. Please don't. I'm gonna puke. Please no. Please. What? What? Amazing. Oh, wow. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Whoa, that's a lot of discarded junk. Oh, is okay. Why? That's not. Is this where they're building my rocket? That's terrifying. Okay, it actually looks like a legit facility, though. Actually, this is the spaceship. Oh. Oh. Haha. I feel like that's just not true. But okay. Uh-huh. Yep, they are old geezers. Is that a pedal-powered wheelchair? That seems like a bad idea. No, test things. Why is there a full dwarf here? He doesn't know shit about rockets. Yeah. Says the old man who made it past it. Fuck you. Okay. Pedal, 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 pedal. Full dwarf with a fucking dwarf mohawk. Yeah, that's gravity. That's how you escape orbit. Ugh. And it falls to the ground really far away. Yeah, that's actually a great way of showing it, is trying to whip around a corner too fast. Yep, you gotta breach atmosphere. Ooh, torch. I don't think it's that simple. You need heat shielding. Right. Right. Ooh. And there's no romance subplot with the woman talking about the end times? I was expecting a romance subplot. Where is it? Hmm. They are my children. What did you say? Yeah, manufacturing is, well, okay. What is about to happen? Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, you could give me a nickname. Cool scene. Cool scene. Oh, there's our romance subplot. I was waiting for it. What are all those weird things? Oh, they're all misshapen candles. Hello. Oh, I don't believe in the energy grid. She sure is. That kid is gonna die. Do not leave that child alone. Ah, fuck. Third wheeling on a motorcycle. Yikes. I'm sorry, the nearest star to us is far more than 70 light years away. Far more. This is true. Well done. That's your first line. Nothing. Aha. But it's not flat. What's up with that? Oh. Uh-huh. Got it. Set up for Gunbuster? Like what? Ooh, Fires of Our Wars as well. Ooh, okay. Man, y'all real religious, huh? With this odd non-denominational faith. That's cool. Man, the soundtrack has been really unique all the way through so far. Wow, that looks like a shot straight out of Ava. Black background, saturated characters. What a crazy shot. Good night. What a cool train. But will we gain the respect of Manna? That is the true goal of this whole film. Oh! I'm in a lot of time alone in space. Oh, my religion forbids this. Yup. Shit. Nope, the book says it right on the first page. No fun. You don't compromise with faith. That's why there are problems. Oh boy, here we go. Eh. Eh. Fun. Uh-huh. Huh. What's our evil? Oh. Oh, okay. So it's just basic corruption. I was thinking it was gonna be like slave trading or some bullshit to make it real creepy. I thought it's just basic corruption. That's fine. No worries. Woo. Oh. Can't fly itself. Did her place just get bulldozed? Oh, that's a lot of tubes. Clunk. Oh, he's got enough room. How is this somehow his fault? Nice bike. I sure do. Oh, he's got a pipe. Runs great. Cool shot. Really does look familiar, though. Where's my bike? Cool shot. Also, looks very familiar. That's pretty freaking sick. Oh my god. Wow. Alright. Zoom in. Yeah, your house is gone. Why? Did you not go Hitchhiker's Guide? Like, it's been on file for years. I'm here to fight him off. But the people were coming every day. Didn't tell you that this was... Oh boy. No, it does not. They probably did everything fully legally. I was gonna say, how does that relate to her internal and basic trauma? Is that her voice? Come live in a spaceship warehouse. Okay. Cut straight to lavishness and excess. Hey, looking at a book. The book. He burned some people. Yep. Is he gonna die in a flaming explosion? Okay. That seems a little harsh. But alright. Gotta explain why people suck. Ha 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 ha. This actually reminds me a lot of the scene in Redline where they're testing the engine. That seems like a warning. That seems like, oh, he's already gone. Your boy. Okay. So he's not gonna die in a fiery explosion yet. He's gonna almost die in a fiery explosion. Whoa. That's some cool stuff. Nice. Okay. Yep. New introduction of politics. Incoming. How did that happen? Okay, to fire they return. So that religion is a part of things. Should have incinerated him with one of his own jet engines. I think he would have wanted it that way. Hmm. Hmm. What a scene. Ooh, propaganda. Oh, wow. These are some scummy people. Ugh. Propaganda. You are part of the machine. All right, here's our protests. Oh boy. Hmm. 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 Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's true. What? Ah. Classic stuff. Oh boy. Cool building. Oh, he's laying down. Took me a second. Hmm. Just the animation on the newspaper is so insane. Oh my god. Woo! Woo! That's fucking great. Boy, useless. The doc's gone. Uh-huh. Whoa, that changes things. We want to be as close to the equator as possible. Shit. This is true. Show of force. Can't use it as a weapon. No, you gotta whip your nation into a fervor over it. It's a race. Shoot it. What? Oh, it would start a war. Use it as a pawn in a political game. Okay. And he's right at the center of all of it. Uh-huh. Wait, the doc is dead. Oh, that's a different guy. Wow. Well put together animation. Cool. Running through all the possibilities we can think of. Hmm. Hmm. Pretty interestingly believable religious ideas here. Fire, 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 fire. And away from the city of sin he walks. But to what destination? Again, with the depth in all of these scenes. Little things like the piece of newspaper blowing. Oh, they're gonna hit a child with a stick. Yeah. Flip flop. Hmm. Oh, all because he volunteered for a mission. He becomes an icon. Hmm. 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 No comment. A professional astronaut should be dialed in, not happy. What's with that? Ooh. Oh. Blinded. Okay. Wow, the way that he moved through that light was something insane. Oh. Uh. I'm just an astronaut. I'm just the astronaut, man. Not really. Hello. Oh, the coins that we set up earlier? Fuck. People might die for those. Cthulhu speaks to you. Okay. They made up a language. They really tried. It didn't work. It was really cool, though. Definitely not America. It looks like a promo image to me. That's fair. That's a bad idea. Also, a bad idea. It's gonna start a war. Yeah, that's true. Oh, we're back in the City of Sin. Oh, yeah. Hello. Uh-huh. That might not go over well with your superior officers. But okay. What a shot. Hello, evil child. Please don't kill me. Hmm. It's a cool window. Ah. Ah, okay. Hi, Manna. Really cool shot of that room. Just the sense of space and actual dimensions of it. I don't know how that was done. Fuck. uh. What the fuck? Alright, I'll leave this here. Super awkward. Wow, you live in a house that looks like a hat. Oh no, it's a toilet that looks like a hat. I love it. It's so cute. Hmm. Cool clouds. So many layers. Mm-hmm. Romance subplot. Something wrong with Manna? The water spreads. Hey, it's Manna. Okay, good. Uh-oh, fire. No, it's raining. It'll be fine. Thanks. Uncle Dory? Talkative kid. Huh? Why? Why are you acting this way? I really hate. Like I understand. I said before this is a believable-ish religion stuff, but I really hate it. It's all doom gloom, fire and hell. There's no like love of a deity or any sort of like just reward or anything positive. It's all fully negative reinforcement and bad. And, I don't know, man. And then it tells you that you can do nothing but sit around and pray, which I don't know, man. What about, like, trying to make the world better? Like, she's not going out there and feeding homeless people. She's just handing out flyers and being like, everything's gonna explode if you're not better. But she's not being better. I guess she has taken in this child, which may or may not be her child. So that's something. But, I don't know. Like, it seems nice enough, but there are some holes in this religious theology, or religious philosophy. Oh, sneaky boy. Don't do it. No. 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 No, stop it. Stop it. You're gonna freak her the hell out. For good reason. Okay. Buddy? 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 Ladat? Can we not? Can we not? Can we fully... Yeah, please... Please no? That's okay. The fuck, man? Good night, Manna. What the fuck, man? Bruh. Bruh, you just tried to rape her. What? Oh, no. Yeah, that's a full... We're not talking about it. Uh... Eh. Uh-huh. What? What? Oh, girl. Oh, girl, you have internalized some fucked up shit, dude. Oh, I feel so bad for... Oh, no. Oh, it's all gonna fall down now. So now he's the one wearing it. He was. Oh, that is super creepy. Kebabs. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, cat. Man, we really just gloss over that whole thing that just happened. What the fuck? I'm not over that. Yeah, just suppose. I At least he realizes that he was way the fuck out of line. Okay, this is an interesting line of philosophy. Somebody just shoot him? Somebody just try to shoot you? Uh... Just a nice old lady going on doing my shopping. Whoa, cool shot. Cool shot, cool shot. That's so hard to do these camera movements, man. With like multi-pan. Oh, she is after them. I thought she was just like, I was just doing my shopping. Nope. This is a full assassination. This is the assassination attempt. And that's the reason for it. Just hide behind it. Oh boy. Yee! It's a fast lady. Jesus. Are they clinging onto the side of it? No, they ran. Okay. Uh-huh. 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 Cool scene. Ah! Move it. Are there no police? Oh my god, what a shot. Uh-huh. Are there fully no police? Are we cornered? We are cornered. Go fight the old lady. You got a knife? Fuck. Can you protect me? Bum. Okay, I guess we're home free. Seriously though, are there no police? Yeah, bring danger there. Uh-huh. Uh... Uh... That thing is here to kill you, my man. Oi, 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 ちょっと. Oh, that's Hey, the training pays off. What a scene. Ano? Oh my god, where did she get it? What the fuck? It has so many details that it doesn't need to have that make it so awesome. What a shot. What a run. Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Boom. What the fuck are you, lady? Finish the job. Fuck. Oh, not an old lady. Assassin man. That makes more sense. Still, how did you fully punch through some glass and stuff? That's crazy. Whoa, what a shot. Whoa, what debris. It's so high quality. And it has just never let up on that quality. Hmm. Hmm. This is a very interesting conversation. Members of the church. Hello, Manna. The kid don't talk. Oh. And you can't go outside, you know. Space. Oh. Our first smile is smiling at our own pain. Good, good, good. Great, great. Solid. This child is going places. What the fuck? Man, we do not have that much movie left. Oh. Hi. Hello. Still deeply ashamed. He's gonna die in fire. Oh, this is goodbye forever. Bye. Yeah, I know. I'm a fucking astronaut. Oh, that's a cool helicopter thing with really insane animation all over it. Okay. Cities look like stars from above. Checking boxes. It's real impressive that they try to make a pseudo language. It sounds super weird, as most Oh, is it Star Wars now? Hmm. Impressive. Hmm. Whoa. That's our launch site, huh? And our big baby. Hello, rocket. Yep. Uh, okay, totally safe. Cool shot. It's probably gonna hit the whole world, man. Hey, we're up to one arm push ups. Yeah, set of lines that someone else told him to say. He really is just a pawn in this game. Hmm. Some kind of symbolism there. Hmm. What's gonna go wrong? Man, if we are building up to just the rocket explodes, that's gonna be absolute. What a shot! It's gonna be absolutely insane. Okay. Seems like the kind of time to. Ah, why? That seems like a bad idea, man. You're gonna try and shut it down. Okay. They're right. They're trying to get. They're trying to cause an attack. Okay. Okay. That's a new beast. Shit. But it would be really badass if we get the launch off right before fighter jets swoop in. Today's the day, bud. No band-aids on the face for you. Huh. Wow. So much animation effort, man. All right. That's how they do it. That's crazy. Hostilities about to break out. Tension maximum. Man, I fully something hasn't been double checked right. I'm scared. Uh Fuck. War is literally starting. Now you got hover tanks. Hoverboat tank things. Jesus. We're gonna launch anyway. Or is it all gonna be for naught? That's probably for the best. All because of the change of location. Ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, we're going for it. Now I'm more convinced that he's just gonna explode. Give the word. Hell yeah. Pretty hell yeah. Alright, wheel it out. Move the sections. Open her up. What a crazy device. What a crazy thing to draw. Gonna do a full air battle. Gonna a full dogfight in the middle of a launch sequence. All right, that's pretty sick. I gotta give it props where props are due. It's pretty cool idea. Oh boy. What a shot. Okay. Just the dot. Wow. What an explosion. Wow. Okay. Gives us an excuse to draw a war. It's crazy. Do you see that? You see those explosions? Those are nuts. There's so much detail in them. Like the film. Jesus. Seriously, like 4 in a row of the most amazing explosions that I've ever seen. Oh, silence. Good choice. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, the screaming of metal. Pop, pop. And in fire. Okay. Yeah. What a scene. Stage 1. Stage 3. Stage 3 is the weird one. Drop. Mimicking of the famous shot. Our hydrogen engine. Yeah, wow. Nani? And he does get over. Do we get to see sunrise? Or something like it? And what do you see from up there? How do we pin this off? How do we close this? Hmm. His own speech. That ties together better than I thought it would. We do get sunrise. Mm-hmm. What am I looking at here? What is this whole sequence? This is him as a child? What is any of what the fuck? Why is he having an acid trip? What? Because we're going back to fire and cavemen. Okay. Growth of technology and progress. Co-option of technology and progress for war. Okay. block of metal as yet unforged could either become a tool or become a weapon. I see. Are we going to end with a happy reunion? Oh, it's snow. To space our horizon. It's a cool track. And this is also a really cool film. It's got some deep underlying flaws, but overall it's absolutely spectacular. Ah. NASA. That's it, 7 seconds. That is quite a film. Okay. I think this film has some deep underlying problems. But I also think it's an absolute spectacle pretty much all the way through and remains interesting even when it's in its most flawed moments. And there are a few specific sequences in the film that make the entire experience far more than worth it. Everything that glues those sequences together is also really incredible. Visually, and visually alone, the general background art and art style is stellar, and then is brought together with a photography and compositing stage that is way beyond its time in terms of the amount of effort and work and talent put into making everything look right and making all of our layers mesh. We see it from the very beginning with multiple scenes of multiple people in different like depth or distance from the camera, moving in space on backgrounds and doing so in a way that looks legitimately believable. Just to see multiple characters moving in the same frame is already impressive. To see them composited onto frame as well as they are in this film is nuts. Like that, the kind of animation quality and the kind of scene compositing, different from scene composition or scene compositing or scene photography stage, is something that's almost generally limited to Miyazaki films, and that's about it. That's like it. There are a couple of other things from around this era that are similar, and but this is some next level stuff that's going on. Just in the first half hour, the scene of his reflection on a major reflective surface, and it's immaculate. The distortion is perfect. The color shift as you're looking at your reflection in a colored object is perfect. But I don't want to get bogged down into the weeds of talking about individual things that are really cool. Overall, throughout the entire film, you can go to basically any point and find really incredible scene setting and compositing, putting characters and frames onto their scenes amazingly. I think it becomes most notable in all of the city sequences and city shots, because there are these hyper complicated like technological with like cranes and weird buildings and architecture and stuff, and lots of people all moving around on top of stuff in a way that feels right. It feels like really interesting and amazing. So there's that. That's a thing. The general background art, especially when we're outside, the skies are gorgeous. The landscapes are gorgeous. The locations are great. All of the drawing of everything mechanical, whether it's moving or not, like the scene where we lower part of the spaceship down, or anytime we draw any of the stuff that's inside the production facility where they're actually building things, it's just immaculate. It's as good as it could possibly be, I think. And then the materials and the texture of everything as it's painted, we see a good example of in the very beginning, in this sort of like danger zone sort of scene. But the texture of all the metal, the texture of the aircraft itself, all feels right enough to be good, and it's kind of crazy. Also, just the opening scene, which kind of faked me out, where we see this field with a contrail across it, and then we only later realize that I only later realized that it's not a contrail; it's the feet of a man walking through the snow. Immaculate. I was very worried when we first started getting voiceover, and it sounds like it's like he's recording like this in a sense. He sounds like he's recording like this, and I was super worried that was how the entire film was going to sound. It doesn't. It's just his internal monologue, so it tracks, and that's pretty cool. That works. The setup of an alternate history of a world that is believable but not quite our world, and the ability to use that as a backboard to throw ideas against, is really interesting. It's one of the hallmarks of science fiction, is to set up a world that's not quite our world, and then we can demonstrate things that are relevant to our world in their world more starkly because their world is different. I think that the setup of the world building itself, to use an oft overused term that's loosely defined at best, but the world building of this world is fascinating and fantastic. It's a world that, very much like ours, is marked and perhaps defined by war, It's got its own set of religions. It's got its own set of warring states. The religion that is expressed is interesting, but we'll get into some of my problems with some of the philosophy of the film a little bit later. Still, that they created a religion that was believable, honestly, and then installed it into this world in an interesting way and created this clash and contrast where, our main character starts off in the city of sin, sort of not caring about things, going out, seeing his friends go off to hang out with prostitutes and stuff, drinking, all of that jazz. And then the contrast of this other woman is very interesting. Um, Little things like or I guess they're not even little. The dress uniforms, the way that their knives look, the use of like ampules that you shatter the top of to drink from, or throw on the ground to shatter as part of a ceremony. The shape of all of the cups, the fact that all the food is different, the way in which all of the food is different and yet still recognizably food. The linguistic paradigm where like all of the names have similar phonemes that are used, like lots of GHs or H's in places, to create a nomenclature or a naming system that makes sense and is internally consistent, it's spectacular. The world building is spectacular. Things like the design of the table. The design of this table is similar enough in some ways to a lot of the architecture that we see. We see a lot of things with arches in them, all sorts of fucking stuff. That there is this clothing pattern where people wear like a stripe of a different color or two different intermingled colors. Hers is wavy, his is spiky and almost uniform-esque. Really fascinating. And what's amazing to me is they managed to create all of these different costumes, and I guess they're not costumes, they're like uniforms, manners of dress, manners of presenting oneself, etc., that are all relatable without being direct ripoffs or direct appropriation of any specific cultures, is really, really impressive to me that it manages to do so much of that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty freaking cool. Lighting everywhere is immaculate. Compositing everywhere is immaculate. Composition is kind of filmic. I wouldn't say that it's like flat or bad in any way, but there were few scenes where I found the composition like interesting in and of itself. And I think that for this type of film may be a very good thing, because we don't necessarily want to be impressed by the composition. We want to be sucked into the world. We want to be sucked into the story. How well the film actually sucks us into the world and into the story is maybe a talk for a little bit later in this review and talk through and discussion. But the world building gets like 10 stars. It's super interesting. And in fact, I would say that the nature of this world carries a lot of my interest and attention throughout the film, where sometimes other things in the film kind of fall flat. The religion that is present and the use of a religion is interesting. I don't particularly like the religion that's present. I sort of mentioned it as we were going into it. It doesn't seem to be very helpful. Doesn't seem to have a lot of like, this is how society gets fixed by following these codes and ethics and stuff. It has a lot more of like, everyone is wrong and we're all going to burn for it. And we should all pray more, which doesn't fix the things. I think that in the best case scenario, religion is a really, really useful tool for passing down information, and giving ethical and moral significance to particular pieces of information and particular societal like norms. Like things like the golden rule and love thy neighbor are, I think, the most valuable portions of religion, and they're attached to religious significance because it makes them significant to people and people can grasp them, from generation to generation in a way that's actually effective. And there's none of that present in the religion that's presented, which kind of sucks for that religion. But I think that leads into a bit of a deeper problem with the film, which is that everything feels a little bit thin. The veneer of the world building is really stellar, and we're able to infer pretty much everything we need to know for the story of the film itself. But nothing thrills me about the movie except for the visuals and certain like mechanical visual sequences. The sequence where we take flight for the first time, the actual launch sequence, the war sequence, the sequence where we're being attacked and the assassin is coming after us. These are all spectacular and thrilling in a loose sense that's like, yeah, that's thrilling. Woo! Crazy shots, crazy composition, cool animation, incredible debris, incredible explosions, incredible work and art and stuff. But I mean on a deeper level, on the level of what's going on in this film and what do we as an audience care about, there's something that's kind of lacking. And I think we lose it slowly over the course of the film. Something that this film made me think of all the way through for reasons that should be pretty obvious if you've seen another movie. I don't like doing comparative analysis, but I'm going to do it in this case, is the film Gattaca, actually. They're similar, and I'm going to spoil some things about Gattaca. It's a 1990s-something, maybe 2000-something film. It's a really good movie, and I recommend you watch it. The spoiler is the dude gets to space, okay? There's your spoiler for Gattaca. That's the whole spoiler. What year is Gattaca? 97. So a decade later. And an American thing, totally different movie. Of course, blah, blah, blah. The reason that I think of Gattaca is partly because there's the same goal. The main character in Gattaca wants to go to space. He wants to go desperately. He is genetically inferior, considered that way in the culture of the thing. It's got a sort of a similar situation where there's a lot of cool and interesting world building, but basically he tries to go to space and he wants to go to space. They won't let him go to space, so he does some things to lie on some tests and tries to go to space and manages to go to space. Okay? It's the whole movie. Here's the thing. Gattaca is deeply slow and philosophical and thoughtful of about like individual purpose and humanity purpose and purpose as a culture and like demonstrating the flaws of the dystopian society that these characters live in. But all of it is bound by this problem, this impossibility for our main character. He wants desperately to go to space, and he is not allowed because he's genetically inferior. He cannot do it. The world literally holds him back from doing it. And so when he finally does it, it's a powerful moment in the film because it feels like the whole world is against him and he overcomes that difficulty. The reason I bring this up is because, one, we don't get enough depth of our main character, and part of that is because of our main character's role in the story. He's an astronaut. He's not tied into the sociopolitical stuff or the religious stuff or the war stuff. He's not tied to any of it. He's kind of a leaf on the wind. His only primary thing that he does over the series is he stands up and volunteers to be the first one into space. And then he does the training necessary to do it. And then by the end, he gives a speech that's like, no, we're doing this anyway, let's go. I feel that speech doesn't super feel earned, right? I don't think we spend enough time on the pressures and problems. The antagonistic force in the film is some other nation attacking us, and also the culture and the ruling elite and the decision makers of our society and all of that stuff. But there's nothing, it's not specific enough to really make me feel like there's a threat, even when there are tanks rolling over the hill, right? And something is missing there for that to feel as tense as it should. And I don't know exactly what's missing there, but I feel like something is missing there because it doesn't make me feel what I think the filmmakers think it makes me feel. That's unfortunate. We get all of this like soft world building. It's hard world building, and the world building is incredible, but like how do I put this? We sort of bring up all of these problems in this world and sort of just brush them off. And the reason that we're able to do that, and the reason that we do that, is again because our main character isn't really affected by them. His response to seeing immense amounts of poverty on the streets and to hearing this reporter say to him, like, if the budget was cut by half, 30,000 people could be fed and clothed and have warm places to sleep. His response to that is to throw a handful of coins at some beggars, right? There's a disconnect between our main character and thus our point of view throughout the film and the actual problems that are going on. And I think that disconnect is intentional. I really do. I think that that's the intent. I think that there's a reason we feel like all of the propaganda broadcasts and stuff are so obviously propaganda, but they all kind of just filter through in the background, is because our main character doesn't really think about those things. And I don't feel like he comes to really think about those things over the course of the movie. There are elements of him changing over the course of the movie. Yes, absolutely there are. Like, he starts off not in uniform, showing up late to a funeral, no respect for the dead, no respect for his position, no respect for the Royal Space Force, no respect for anything, right? And then just wandering around in the city. And then eventually, he's seeing his friends off to their new positions and stuff, and he's in uniform, and like he's kind of getting it. He's sort of getting that, like, oh, we live in a society and that's important. But it all sort of happens as an afterthought, kind of. Not as an afterthought, that's not the word I mean. It kind of happens in the background. We don't spend a lot of time with our character thinking about his mindset. We spend a couple of scenes where he's like laying down being kind of morose, one of which turns into a rape sequence, which we will talk about. Jesus Christ, we gotta talk about that. Oh, you gotta talk about it. But we don't spend a lot of time with our character in like the whole set of interactions that he has with Rikuna. It's got Q's in it. Her name starts with an R and it has Q's in it. It was a weird name, and that's the only reason I don't remember it, because I don't know how I would say it. There's so much that we could have done if we paced a little bit differently. So much of this film is dedicated to sequences of things coming together. Like, we cut away so frequently to scenes of stuff happening in cities or establishing shots. The montages I won't knock at all, because they're cool, but there are so many scenes of things happening that don't need to be happening because they don't contribute overall to the film. They just look cool, and I guess Yamaga thinks that they contribute to our understanding of the world in a way that leads into the finale. But there's a lot of chaff in this movie. There's a lot of stuff that ain't wheat that could be cut away a little bit. And I think that if I were to recut or change this film, I would cut some sequences out and replace them with a slightly earlier setup of the tensions with another nation, and more of a conflict between the general character, the one who actually is the instigator of this whole project and is pushing it forward, and the council, right? We've got these great character designs for these council elder or council of nobles who make all the decisions in the empire or whatever, and they end up being directly at odds with the general guy because he's doing this important project, right? That he thinks has massive historical significance, and they see it only as an opportunity to create a war or an opportunity to like sell stuff or to bolster popular approval of the nation and stuff. If we had spent more time on that conflict, it would make the ending conflict more interesting, because we know that our astronaut boy wants to do the thing, right? But if we built more into the general's character, I don't know. I don't know. I guess here's the thing, all of these criticisms, there is stuff in the film that leads into it. There are the conversations that he has on the phone, right, where he's talking to these people and they're telling him that it's over. There's the conversation that he has with that council of nobles elsewhere. It's just that none of it feels like it's building into anything. None of it clicks quite right. I don't know. All of my criticisms of this film are for things that it comes so close to achieving, and it's just the style and pace of the film that leads them to not build into a truly spectacular finale. Because the finale is visually spectacular and fascinating in its animation and its ideas, kind of, but it doesn't feel like there's the film is trying to create this moral sensibility and this ethical dilemma and this set of issues and this dystopian society and the things that fix it and this whole concept, this complicated concept that I will admit is deeply difficult to try to express, around technology and history and the march of progress and the way that humans achieve things, the way that we grow as a society and as a species. And it's counterpointing all of that with religion and all of this stuff. And it doesn't feel like the climax of the film actually manages to achieve some sort of emotional goal. Our main character at the very end makes an impassioned plea over microwave radio that maybe somebody hears and maybe nobody ever hears, right? And he makes this whole speech that's like, "What, war bad? History is interesting. The world is interesting. Please, oh please, give some thanks for our arrival to our next step in like science and technology and growth and things, and also war bad and stuff." And it doesn't make me feel nothing. It doesn't feel like we were building to that, right? Maybe it would be different if we knew that broadcast was being picked up, and like if we spent more time showing that the propaganda of this nation is super rough and propagandistic, right? And then we show that he's been given this set of lines that he's supposed to say once he gets up there, and then he says his own speech instead. There's a lot that we could do with that, where it's like, oh no, people in the background, the council of nobles being like, oh no, he's going off script, right? There's stuff that could happen there, but we don't want to. And so we end in this, and then we transition into a total acid trip of like, first off, his own development, I suppose, and his own childhood and growth. And I guess his first attraction to a girl, and his first hamburger, and ball game, and some drawings, and then we're forging a piece of metal. And I get that the forging metal idea as a metaphor works really well, because it's not yet something, right? Humanity is still an amalgam, is still mutable, there's still a chance for us to make the choice in any day of our lives to dedicate ourselves to something other than war. That piece of metal could become a very useful tool, or a piece of a plow, or something else, right? Or it could become a weapon. And that's a cool idea, visually expressed. And then we show humanity through the ages, and growing and gaining technological power, and all of that stuff, leading up into this moment when we get to space, but also bombs, because everything has multiple uses. And then it snows, and up he is. I am glad that there's no sappy reunion or whatever at the end. That's really well advised, because that would be really ill advised. But I think a lot of people are wigged out by this ending sequence because it doesn't track. It's like, oh, what happened? We have this very like focused sequence where there aren't any dream sequences. There aren't any like. It's weird. It's kind of out of place. I feel like we could actually have that sequence earlier as like a exactly that as like a dream sequence where he has the conversation with his superior officer, the general, about history and life and stuff, and then he has that dream sequence as he's laying on the floor or something. I don't know. Into it, this guy pissed. The immediate setup of tradition versus technology or tradition versus progress is at the forefront of the film, and I think is really well done. But then we also see that like there, even in the progress, there is this incorporation of tradition in an interesting way with the uniforms and the dress code and all of that stuff. And this, like, you have to have respect for certain things, but then we see that it all kind of falls apart on the actual training field, and that the sort of grunt level individuals don't really care. They're just here for the paycheck and to go out drinking at night. The whole city sequence is amazing. The gambling is really interesting, and I have no idea what the game that's being played is. But we also overhear people talking about the Royal Space Force. We catcall some girls. A night on the town, all that jazz. And of course, we go through this gauntlet of pleasure, I guess. Lots of prostitution, and we meet her, the one who's different. And we find ourselves here. And he is marked by the thing, and he goes to the place, and he finds the Manna. I'm gonna say this is one of the most interesting like child characters that I've ever seen. Usually when you have this like child character situation, you try to make them as lovable as possible. This character is not lovable from the outset, fully grumpy as hell and uniquely grumpy. And I actually really like this character. I grew to really like this character over the course of the film. Once we set up the super grumpy character, I'm waiting for the moment of like some kind of approval, and we do in fact get that at the end with the smiling Manna, and then the scene of her looking up at the stars. But a very unnerving child, which is in and of itself characterization and like history for this character, right? Like, children shouldn't act like this, right? So it immediately gets us asking, why does this child act like this? And the answer comes to us in a pretty, not an in-depth explanation, but this is a child who grew up in a household of fighting with a lot of trauma, a household which may or may not have contained I forget her name. I should just give her the respect of looking up her name. Let me do that. Riquini. Fuck. Riquini. I don't know. The little things like the little ringer thing, I don't know if that's the way that there are ringers that actually exist, but holy shit, it works. Or this opening sequence where she's like, nope, and then lets him in as soon as she knows about the thing. God, this child is such a brat sometimes, though. And the freaking bug on a string is so weird and so interesting. Or the weird candles and stuff. There's so many creative ideas and so much characterization for a character that has two word lines over the course of the entire film. It's pretty kind of impressive just in its own right. And then look at the freaking backgrounds, right? Well, this is what we're here for, is the backgrounds and stuff. And he volunteers like a fool. Like a legend. Like a hero. Montage of awesomeness. Okay. So I said before, and I'll hop back into talking about the things that I don't feel, but there aren't like specific things that don't land. Each scene in isolation really works. Sometimes is even way beyond working, like really stellar. It's just that overall, I feel like the movie lacks a funneling of drive and motivation. Like some movies are very linear in their flow. Some follow a specific curve or a pattern, but most start off with like, things are happening, the world is happening, we focus upon a goal, and everything in the film narrows toward that goal. I feel like we don't have that focus and like growth of velocity. Films with an actiony like end, I feel should have like an acceleration over the course of the film. And this doesn't come from any kind of legitimate film theory. I'm just trying to express how I feel about the way that this film paces out its content, which isn't necessarily like scene to scene pacing, because that's a different thing. But over the course of this 2 hour film, it doesn't feel like we build to something. I know that we do. We build to a crazy spaceship launch in the middle of a literal war, right? The craziest sequence, and it doesn't feel like everything builds to it, right? I don't know how to express this one element of the experience of watching this film that is not necessarily inherent to the film itself, but in my own experience of watching this film, I didn't feel like a ramping up of tension. That's actually a better way to put it. Like, this film needs some sympho gear, man. It needs some sympho gear. Because, and I say that not because we need magical girls in super suits punching spaceships and whatever, but because sympho gear is the best show that I can think of at continuously ramping up its tension over the course of a season. We don't get that. We don't get that. Every scene feels like it has the same amount of significance, perhaps. Maybe that's the issue. And maybe that's just simply an issue of the amount of effort and quality put into the film. I don't know. I don't know how you result in this. I have no idea how you would ever make a film as good as this. So, fuck me for trying to criticize it in the first place, right? I don't know shit. I'm not Hirotsugi Yamaga. What? How the fuck do I say your name? Hiroyuki. It's not Hirotsugi. Where did I get that from? I'm not Hiroyuki Yamaga. I couldn't write this. So shame on me for criticizing it because I couldn't do it, right? But I'm still gonna say my piece about how I feel about it because that's my job. It needs some tension ramping. Everything feels kind of samey all the way through, except for the few times where we spike the scenes and we've got these spectacle sequences. The first of those spectacle sequences is our first flight. This whole sequence is mechanically fascinating. Just the sequence of the propellers going on and the slow build of these. I wonder if Anno animated it. I don't know. I've got no clue. But we light them up. We get all of the flaps and the wings and all. It's somebody really obsessive about technology, about building something with drawing, with art, drew this out. And I want to guess that it was Anno. We're going to go to Sakagaburu at some point and see what's listed for this film, and I assume there's going to be plenty. But we take off, we start zooming. This guy puts his mask on, and I was worried that we were going to put the mask on our main character as well. But we have a scene where he tries to, this is really smart, I think. He tries to put the mask on and it doesn't fit and it just falls off, which is crucial. I mean, it might kill him, but it is crucial for us as the audience to have an emotional counterpoint, right? It's really hard to do like a shot that looks like it's inside of his mask and stuff, or we like clear it out and stuff. You can imagine that they talked through this scene a bunch of times. It's like, okay, but if he doesn't put the oxygen mask on, he's literally going to die during this flight. Okay, but we need to see his face because we need his reactions to things. We need it for an emotional counterpoint so that our audience, like, emotionally connects to the scene. So he doesn't put his mask on. He's not able to. This build of velocity around this corner is awesome. The droplets of water spewing across the windshield, just like they do in a rainstorm on a car, is really cool. And we take off. All of the modeling and three-dimensional space and lighting on this plane is beyond stellar, as is all of the compositing on the backgrounds and the feeling of space. It is all immaculate. I guess we'll just go ahead and we'll look at it. Parts of the plane as you look out, the flashes as we go through stuff, and it's these big wide open shots. in space. It's not just technically and like technologically impressive to draw this all out and get it all accurate. It has that something. It's got that je ne sais quoi. It feels. I don't know what it feels like, but it feels, right? There's a majesty, maybe, to this sequence. Majestic. It's absolutely incredible, I think. I think it's one of 3 like favorite sequences in this film for me. And all the internal shots are of his face. And it's this moment that we really needed to sell with the mask off, right? We pass through and over, and his eyes light up through the clouds. The sense of speed, the sense of momentum, the sense of like freedom in the air. Like, this is our character's motivation when it happens, right? This is magical. And I think it's executed to a T. And back to the ground we go, Rainy downstairs. And we get some shit from some officers, and Ton, aka Maddie, gets in a fight. Segueing us into this location, which is, again, this is some of that mechanical stuff that's just immaculate. All of the texture on all of the objects, all of the look of everything, all of the characters moving around through stuff, all of the cool ideas present, and then the kind of gag of all of these freaking geezers who know what they're doing, apparently, making it all happen. Meeting the doctor, going crazy, doing a bunch of stuff. Also, this as a demonstration of reaching orbital velocity, coming around the corner and whoosh, is fantastic. And it also ties in with the rest of the story because that is the bike that he is then repairing that we then steal to go to the place when it gets bulldozed. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. You can tell that the creators were kind of geeking out about how to make this a cool part of the story. All of the diagrams and switchboards and circuitry behind computing portions and mechanical stuff and welding and wiring and all of that stuff is stellar. It's immaculate. I don't know if it's entirely necessary for the flow of the film. How much tension do we really get out of that whole sequence? Because even when the core man who is responsible for this project, the doctor, when he dies in an accident, right, or dies from complications after an accident, doesn't really change much about the film. It's like not even a minor setback, right? We're just back at it and we're working on it and we're doing fine. So that it makes me wonder how much of the we're making the rocket sequence is really necessary. I guess because we're going for that hard line, like technology versus tradition sort of a feel. It's necessary, but it doesn't feel. I'll put it this way: mechanically, the mechanical stuff is all important, but emotionally, I don't think it's important to the film. And I think I might have just hit upon some of the issues that I have with this film, or an explanation for some of the feeling that I have where I'm not as emotionally invested as I could be. I am intellectually invested because it's fascinating and it's gorgeous and it's incredibly put together. The technology of the film is really interesting. The work put into the film is really interesting. But I don't have much of an emotional connection to this movie. And I would venture to guess that that is probably a contributing factor to the lack of box office success in this film. Because humans pay for a movie and expect and desire an emotional experience, right? It has to make us feel something. And that feeling has to be more than, it was really, really pretty, right? Like, how many art house films with great cinematography are there that don't nail an emotional center and thus go nowhere? A lot. A lot. You can make a film that is technically brilliant and beautiful, but if you don't sway the hearts of the masses or of anybody, right? They're not going to watch it again. They're not going to tell their friends about it. They're not going to think about it the next day. It doesn't succeed, right? And what's so fascinating to me is that Gainax as a studio is a studio that over its production span becomes become the creators of what I find to be some of the absolute top most emotionally resonant pieces of media in existence. I think that Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann 2 decades later is one of the pieces of media that absolutely destroys me emotionally in the most positive and interesting way. There's little out there in the animation space that has as much of an impact upon me emotionally as something like Gurren Lagann. Even Neon Genesis Evangelion is a deeply emotionally driven story, and it works not in spite of, but because of that emotional core. Furikuri, another thing that people look at as an absolute hallmark of Gainax Studios, is entirely about coming of age and emotional trauma and emotional stuff, right? And now we're watching Penny and Stocking with Garter Belt, which fully doesn't fit the mold so far, but we'll see. I don't know about Kare Kano because I haven't seen it. Gunbuster and Diebuster more so, but even Gunbuster has this really fantastic emotional core about our characters and this whole idea of like time and loss of things in space and the what we sacrifice as we go and blah blah blah. And I think it nails that center better than the Honneamise film does, even though they're slightly different in what they're going for, or what I think Honneamise is going for, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Honneamise is going for, except to make a really stellar project and hopefully try to make some money. Because you got to punch that meal ticket. Right? Man. That's something that's really interesting to me, because this movie has so much budget and effort and attention to detail and mechanical. Look at these scenes. Look at the depth of everything in this scene. The haze over the very very farthest background part, the unique architecture that is held consistent throughout the movie. They designed this building, the crazy technological weird stuff that's so much detail to draw, right? Couldn't we just draw a warehouse that looks like a warehouse? No, absolutely not. It has to be immaculate. It has to be crazy. And every scene lives up in terms of the visual fidelity of this film. And I think that's the reason to watch it, is because of the visual fidelity. But it doesn't resonate emotionally with me. Our romantic subplot doesn't resonate emotionally with me, except for the horrifying rape sequence, which does resonate emotionally in a terrifying way, right? Like, not in a good way. All right, let's talk about it. We're gonna get there, and we're gonna talk about it anyway at some point. So let's talk about it. I can't show most of it, which is probably a good thing regardless. But okay, so we have this moment here where she gives him the book, and he goes for a physical affection, and she pulls away, and she is uncomfortable with his advances, right? Not necessarily because she doesn't like him, but because she doesn't believe in it, probably. We have to infer a lot of those things. Again, we're in our main character's point of view, and he doesn't understand a lot of these things, right? He doesn't understand the sociopolitical stuff going on, and he probably doesn't understand this woman, right? Doesn't get it. So we don't get it. But she's uncomfortable with it regardless, right? Cool. Comprehensible. Understood. And they get into a bit of a fight. And the fight is because she's like, the world is bad, and he's like, yeah, but technology helps people, and she's like, yeah, but God, but fire and stuff. And Manna starts to break down because Manna has deep underlying trauma, right? This is a crazy scene. This is quite a good scene. Forgive me, see, we've made up already, but you haven't, right? There's been no compromise, which is what she says is a bad idea because compromise has led to the way that the world is now. I disagree with that. I think that everything is always about compromise, and finding a compromise between respecting the existence of the past and the way that people have been and the lessons that people have learned, and also building upon it is the way that society improves. Um, I think that it's all about that balance. I think that we've seen enough shows where tradition versus progress is the core of the show or the film or whatever, that we've come to that conclusion pretty significantly. It also functions in my life, and it seems to function in society. A respect for what has happened, an understanding of history and what causes what, so that we don't have to repeat mistakes, and then the willingness to go outside of what we know to find out new things and add them to the future of tradition, right? So that we have interesting traditions and interesting knowledge to pass down to our next generation. I think that's like the core of my personal philosophy on most of existence. Um, yeah, it has to do with compromise. Man, it's been a long time since I've specifically talked about that, but that was like that's one of the core things that made me want to start watching more anime and doing so in a more meticulous and and brain on sort of way, is because I think that compromise, specifically the action or the activity of experiencing other individuals' perspectives upon the world and then attempting to reconcile them with your own perspective on the world, is the way that we grow as people. And I think that the one of the magical things about all the technology that we do have, the ability to record information in literature, in film, in audio, and then to spread it indefinitely over space and time via the internet, via storage systems like books and storage systems like solid state drives. I think that the most powerful thing that we as individuals can do is attempt to experience and incorporate as many different ideas and different, particularly perspectives and viewpoints upon the world as we possibly can. And I find that anime is really interesting because it is, as a collaborative artistic medium, a really pure way of looking through someone else's eyes. Whether that person is the one mangaka who wrote a manga that then gets adapted, but especially in anime original works where a lot of people have decided what a story should be and what the world that they're in should look like, etc., etc. And I think that Honneamise is a very interesting set of perspectives coming out of 1987 Japan, right? Like we're in the sort of OVA boom, and it's kind of beginning to lapse, I think, by this time. And there's a lot of like frustration in the country and a lot of frustration worldwide during this time. We're smack in the middle of some bad stuff globally. There is a lot of fear in general everywhere, and this film comes from a really interesting perspective on all of those things. And it says some stuff about all of those things. It's clearly a like anti-war, not directly anti-war in any specific way, but like it shows a lot of war kind of bad, technology kind of better, turn your focus toward creating things instead of destroying them kind of ideology in the film. But I'm getting off track by talking too much about the film. I just wanted to say that a core part of my existence as a person, that that I attempt to exist this way, and it is a thing to which I strive and do not obtain most of the time, and must continue constantly working toward, is facing ideas that I don't agree with or that don't resonate with me or blah blah blah, and then trying to figure out where they're coming from and trying to figure out if there is something about those ideas that I can take and incorporate into myself. And doing that sometimes requires a full dismantling of your own internalized ideology, something that's really difficult to do and that I think I should do more often. And I think that everyone should do more often. I think we would all be a lot happier and healthier and have a lot better relationships with other people if we were able to not only see from their perspectives, but recognize that our own perspectives are flawed often, and that the best way to shore them up is literally to take information from the vast sum of information that is available out in the world and without ego simply incorporate it into ourselves and find places where it can mesh with the things that we do want to hold on to about ourselves. It's a constant process of self re-examination and an attempt at self-awareness with the goal of simply becoming better, in that we're a fuller person with a fuller, broader lens through which we see the world, one which incorporates as many of the lenses as we can possibly experience of other people. So, like, reading, watching, listening to media created by people who come from different places as you, come from different backgrounds, come from different countries, different races, different social and financial statuses, who have had different experiences. The way we gain a better understanding of the world is by listening to people who are different from us. And I think that anime as a medium is a really cool way of doing that because there's a lot of differing ideas present in the space. And I think a lot more in certain older stuff than there are in a lot of the newer stuff, which is kind of unfortunate. But there are tons of really interesting perspectives in the new stuff too. So there's tons of anime out there, and there's tons of other media out there. I just happen to be focused on this one because it's what I'm focused on. But I truly believe in those things. So it's interesting to see a film that I think, and maybe this is just me attempting to make it fit into my own perspective without altering my own perspective, right? And maybe my perspective is wrong and the film actually nails this in a way that resonates with other people, and it just doesn't resonate with me super well. But there are parts of it that do. One of those parts is the speech about history and war. And particularly the moment where he's like, I wanted to become a historian, but then there was a war, so I became a soldier. And then how we see that recolor the rest of what he said before, how like history is defined by war and like science and progress is used primarily for war, is really interesting. I think it's a really interesting sequence in a conversation. But there is some other stuff to happen here. So, king guy, bad stuff, pull him out, go to the place. This scene is super duper Akira, like so Akira. It's crazy. It's also a really cool sequence of motorcycle riding. It's crazy. Okay. All of the god stuff, explosion, fire, flames, boom. Thought he was gonna go up in smoke, but he doesn't. Ritualistic cremation, propaganda. The other thing about this film that is a little weird is that we cut from thing to thing really frequently. And it makes the film feel less cohesive. We're also cutting across large spaces of time as this project goes underway. And it does make the film feel a little bit less cohesive than it could otherwise be, I think. Like this whole sequence of him getting on the propaganda and stuff doesn't really go anywhere. We have this conversation with this reporter that sort of shakes us a little bit, but there's no repercussion from that being shaken. This whole sequence happens, but it doesn't really lead anywhere. It leads into the finale, I understand, but it doesn't really go anywhere. We see like, oh, there's bad stuff in our world. This kid's getting beat up by cops, but we don't do anything about it, and it doesn't really matter. It just happens. I don't know. And then we get talked to by the reporter. There's the whole scene on the ceiling, which is really cool looking. It's just a really cool image, but I don't know what it means. Maybe it means something to the people in world that I'm not able to grasp, to quite get. Okay. So here we are. Here's Manna. Hello, hi, hello. Out in the rain and in the inside. A little bit of money in her shoe. The food. He acts all morose all night. She goes to get changed. And he just sort of stands up and zombie walks to rape her. I can't show the scene that comes afterward because there are boobs. This is you know, I don't even want to talk about that scene. I want to talk about the scene after it because it's the worst part. I feel like this is a really weird depiction of rape. Or of attempted rape, I suppose. Because it's fully out of nowhere, just like instantly going for it. Really horrifying. I mean, I suppose that can happen. And it's terrifying. It's maybe the most terrifying way it could happen. I'm going to skip ahead past it. Probably the most terrifying way it could happen. But what happens after? What happens the next day is by far worse. Because we... Like, I will say one thing about it, which is, dude knows he fucked up. And that's pretty good. It doesn't like rescind that he fucked up. Super bad, right? Like, that's not okay at all. But he knows it. And he's genuinely fucked up about it. He doesn't know how to ask for forgiveness even. But he stops her. Does the mistake, I would say, of putting hands on her again. Don't do that. And is quite clear about one thing, which is that there was no, like, she says, you didn't do anything, and his answer is, because I couldn't, because you hit me over the head. I was going to, right? So the event has occurred, right? Effectively, psychologically, he was fully ready to, right? So what's the difference? There's no difference there. If you there's actually a specific line in the Bible about that shit where if you ideate a crime, it's the same as having committed it. But the Bible's not a good reference at all. And she hits us with, forgive me, I don't know what came over me. I shouldn't have hit you like that. Hitting such a wonderful person. Fuck. I don't know how to talk about this. That is some deeply internalized bad stuff. It's not your fault for hitting the dude who was trying to rape you. You done good. That's self-defense. But the bigger thing here is that this indicates so much about this character's past, about the abuse she has almost certainly received in the past. And I don't know if it's intended to associate that with, or this kind of idea with the religion that she pushes. I don't know. But it indicates a deeply self-deprecating mindset. And like I guess you would say, I think many individuals who, how do I put this, who are focused on telling people about their own sins, right? About like fire and brimstone sort of Christianity or similar religions, do so out of a deep sense of shame for something. And it seems like that's something that she is carrying around with her. And it's absolutely a heartbreaking sequence, and a heartbreaking dialogue and a heartbreaking conversation, because she goes to blame herself. I hate it. I hate it a lot. I hate it a lot. I hate that he took that action, and I hate that she feels this way. A lot. It's a weird scene to be in this film. It's also, that scene is the only reason, as far as I know, that there is an R rating on this film. Which means that if that scene were not there, this film could have been accessible to a broader audience, right? And then, what does the scene say? How does it contribute to the rest of our story in general? I'm not going to, not detracting from it. It's a fascinating and really scary portrayal of something that is very real world and does happen and is very scary. But does it connect to everything else? It's kind of an emotional turning point in the film, right? He sort of disconnects from that whole world. He carries around his own shame over the action and over not even being able to be chewed out or berated for it. It turns immediately into this almost get murdered sequence, which is one of the coolest scenes in the film, and then into training, and then into the final day. It's like straight up. I don't know, man. I don't know why that scene is there. But let's change gears. The assassination sequence. This whole sequence, all of the running through crowds and running through buildings sequences are really cool. I think this one, as they come down this hill, is really gorgeous. God, look at the shadows behind them. Every step in place. Each scene is so well planned. The smear right in front of the camera, all the way through this straight out of depth of field, redrawing every frame. Immaculate. Immaculate. And again, the composition isn't crazy. The composition is like out of the way, which is in and of itself a really difficult thing to achieve, where the composition just gets out of the way of the action occurring and conveys the action as well as it possibly can without being distracting, is really impressive all the way through. And then, of course, the setup with the thing and the explosions and the booms and the shots and the stuff. And then there's this crazy like tiny alley that we go through. I also, this woman batting out her rug stands out to me so much just because of how well animated she is. There, when she actually grabs it, there's so much like momentum and so much weightiness to how she does so. And she's not even a part of the scene. We run down this narrow alley and we get a really cool shot out of it too. Or does that happen somewhere else? I don't know. Oh, no, here. It happens here. Running through. Zoom. Crazy cool. All on ones. Bonkers. Bonkers. How much of this movie is on ones? A lot. Falling on people, crashing through buildings, running around. And we set up this scene. This scene stands out a whole lot. It's scary as fuck. This giant pink street sweeper just starts coming after you, and it's got such a sense of weight to it. It's got this momentum as it careens into objects, and it doesn't like have the best grip on the floor. And I think this is probably the most standout sequence of the film. Getting chased down by this giant mechanical monstrosity, which then turns on its brushes and stuff to make itself way more complicated to draw for each scene, with water spewing out of it and it's crashing into things. The verisimilitude of this whole sequence is absolutely bonkers. His whole run is absolutely bonkers. It's so gorgeous. All of the shadows on his clothing. This whole sequence, full change of lighting, everything background animated and moving on, I think, ones? It's moving on twos. There's a slight shift on the ones. but really perfect. Straight into the eye, crazy action sequence, thunk, and even like some physical comedy mixed in. Old lady straight hand through the window, crazy fight scene, action movie. Top tier action movie. Ooh, the way it falls, the way everything shatters, the way it all looks, the way that parts come careening toward camera. Immaculate. Absolutely absurd. Okay, when I was young, I wanted to be a historian. A war started, so I became a soldier instead. And I also knew that that war was not justice. It was just a repetition of what has been. Just repeating our murderous past. It was quite a blow, not becoming a soldier, but learning about history. I think that's really true. Or it can be. I think that a lot of our records of history are about wars, are about war. And war has been a constant in human society since the very beginning. It's true. It's the truth. To find out and to recognize how much of our history is tainted by needless bloodshed, constant bloodshed, killing each other for differences, for territory, for resources, for just because, for pride and glory, these intangible things, can be really disheartening. To look at that and see that is where we come from, and we are fully capable of doing it more, and we do it in the present. And there are nations where people are at war right now. There are nations that are in civil war right now, where people are killing people that they know. That's terrible. It's absolutely horrifying. And you basically have two choices. One is to put your head down and accept that that's the way that things are, and another is to try to ensure that it doesn't happen where you are. And I think the way to do that, once again, is the same thing. It's to understand that it's possible and that we're really good at it. We're really good at killing each other. And then to understand that we're also really good at working together. But working together takes more work because it's really easy to let things fall into conflict, either inside a household or outside against another nation. It's really easy to let conflict grow to the point that it destroys the individuals present within it. It takes more work to work things out. It takes more work to try to understand the other person's perspective and to come to some kind of compromise that isn't violent, that isn't emotionally or physically violent, right? And part of it, one of the things that works is having a goal that we are working on together. Whether it's, even if it's in your family, right? Having a goal that your family is working toward, having a goal that your roommates are working toward changes so much of the dynamic of the household completely. I think this is also a really interesting sequence. And it's one of the portions of the film that I think works psychologically and philosophically in a good way. And then we get this little smile from the kiddo, and we get to say goodbye, and it's weird and it's awkward. We get this really cool helicopter thing, and also the respect of this guy who wants an autograph. And then we get the setup of the bad juju. The bad guy's coming. Some really cool mechanical shots. Look at that angle. It's so cool. It's so cool. All of the character art is pretty fucking immaculate. All of the background art and mechanical art is absolutely stellar. Get all these character interactions. We build up to this conflict, but I don't feel anything about the conflict. I do feel like it's really cool. The whole refueling sequence is really cool. All of the fighter pilot sequences are really cool. We go for it anyway. These tank sequences and ATV sequences and stuff are crazy good looking. And then we get the actual finale as we start to go for it. Planes diving, planes chasing each other, a full dogfight, and a full land battle as well. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one where it gets chewed up in the wing, and the wing falls off, and then it falls. Or this one falling, becoming a fireball, consumed by flame, bursting into debris that becomes flaming sparks of debris going everywhere. Insane. Insane background for this sequence. But that's the thing, it feels like it's just background for the sequence. But I guess he leaves war behind using technology is probably what we're going for here, right? Something like that. Crazy cool fighter pilot sequences, dogfight sequences, really, really stellar, really gorgeous stuff. All aimed at creating war. Explosions. These are some of the most unique explosions I've ever seen. Who drew this? Who drew this? These are so unique that I am positive that even if I can't find these on Sakagaburu, that G Collide is gonna be like, oh, those are this guy. Clearly, you should know this, T. And I probably should know this. But fuck, look at all these explosions. They're so good. Anyway, oh yeah, this one is spectacular. Oh, right, this is the plane that hits and tumbles and explodes. Insane looking. The highlights in the fire. The debris scattering. And I think this launch sequence is also spectacular. That we go for silence is perfect because all of the video that anyone has ever seen of rocket launches is generally silent because you put microphones right near it and they get blown the fuck out. And then we only get the audio from, like, really far away. So this tracks with our understanding of how rocket launches sound and look really spectacularly. And off it goes. And away it goes. Whoa. But it doesn't change anything, right? The war doesn't stop just because the rocket is gone. The battle doesn't halt because we succeeded. He's just away from it. And it's a cool sequence. We follow up on the stars from the sky, and he gives his speech to whatever effect that may have, where he basically says, we suck, and now we're going to space, and we're going to make space suck too. Okay. Please think more about your actions. When will you learn? When will you learn? And snow, and space, and credits. What's actually necessary for the story of this film, right? What's actually necessary? Dude, no respect for authority, no respect for his station, little respect for himself. Something happens. He gets that respect. He decides to go to space. Tensions. Can't go to space because bad guys in the government. And also there's a threat from outside because they're going to steal the ship. Action sequences because they're going to try to assassinate you and steal the ship. More tension from the bad guys. Go for ship. Go. Boom, boom, bam, boom, bam. That's all that's really necessary. Which means that we spent a lot of time and money and energy and drawings on stuff that isn't strictly necessary for the flow of the film. And it shows. Because there's so much effort in everything that it's hard to tell what to care about exactly. This film is perfect on the surface. The surface level of it, the production of it, the creation of it, the cinematography of it, the compositing and photography and drawing of it, the music and the way it functions with the movie, the characters and the way that they function with the movie, the character looks, the character voices, it's all perfect on the top tier. But it's shaky underneath. It doesn't have the driving force of plot behind it in a way that's exciting. I think that's probably why it didn't do as well as it could have done. Because if you put all of that perfect surface on a more interesting, more engaging plot, which can still be about humanity, about progress, about war, about all of these things. But if it has a more solid emotional center, if we're more invested in the relationship, which kind of just goes nowhere and just isn't, it just goes nowhere. If we're more invested in our main character, if he's struggling internally, this is a much more interesting movie. But we don't see that a lot. And so I think it is a mechanically perfect movie that falls flat on an emotional level. And that's a really interesting case study for the things that are necessary for a movie to succeed. Because I don't think it needs to be as mechanically perfect as it is to succeed financially as a film. I do think it needs to be more emotionally, like, engaging to succeed financially as a film. And that's the game. That's the game side of the business. It's crazy. Really interesting. Okay. I said we would do it, and we're gonna do it. I'm going to Sakagaburu. And I'm typing in Honneamise. Honneamise. I've got 3 pages. All right, I'm going to pull it up over here. We got it pulled up over here. I'm going to open literally everything, page by page. Let's go. I'll probably cut this part out. God, there are so many scenes that, like, you just can't skim through and find, you know? So freaking many. So much in this movie. And a lot of it is spectacular. The whole launch sequence, the rockets falling away portions of the sequence, all of it is spectacular. Okay. So this is Artist Unknown Production Materials. Cool. This is Kitaro Kosaka, presumed, as he jumps out of this thing. Really fantastic character animation, and also all of the stuff is perfect, and the character animation is goddamn perfect. Okay, cool. Artist Unknown, this is when all the people are doing the thing. Okay, cool. Gosh, it's such a crazy cut that it's just like, it's just thrown out there. This explosion. And this stuff is all Anno. Of course it is. It looks a lot like a couple of other explosions in Evangelion and other places, as does this whole like launch sequence. Looks a lot like certain things in Eva as well, like off the backs of the robots and stuff. Of course, this is Anno, insanely detailed, as this commenter says, insanely detailed and realistic work. Some of the best smoke I have seen. Yeah, look at that shit, man. Fuck. Cool. Fumio Iida and Tatsuya Egawa. Is this the fucking scene? Okay, let's not watch that. It is a well-animated scene. I hate it, though, so... Oh, Hideaki Anno and Yuji Moriyama. So is this an Anno explosion? Or a Moriyama explosion? Or both? I have no idea. But it's a crazy... this is one of my favorite cuts in the entire film. So I'm glad to see it up here. Presumed Anno with this getting shot down and just peeling out. Sure. Artist Unknown as he gets this thing ready and jumps over stuff, and we montage through a bunch of stuff. No idea who could have drawn any of this. It's a really cool montage sequence, though. A lot of good old people designs. I agree. This movie looks incredibly well animated, says Neptune432. I agree, Neptune432, and it is. Artist Unknown as he bungee jumps. And more montages through more things. Zoom in. This whole sequence is really cool as he's zooming around the corner. Really great. All the old folks pop out of their locations. I don't know. This one, he just makes the whole thing. It's great. Cool. Getting into place. What is this one? Oh, this is just walking around the space, and it's fantastic. The way he just drops down on his little lift and then right back up. Amazing. The smoke in the background, the crazy factories, all the character animation and character acting, and then the opening into your facility, which comes immediately before the previous shot. Oh, this is where we get into a fight. Thunk, thunk. Tons of stuff moving all the way through. Really, really crazy. Really impressive. Flatly lit, but that makes sense. Okay, this is as he preps and he's got stuff stuck all over him. All the little bits of character animation they're just a lot. They're just so much. Here's another one. So much. So much fascinating and fantastic animation. Artist unknown, but really good, and it's a whole bunch of separate cuts. Hard to say. Character animation as a group, as they are all like, you fucking idiot, you're not going? That's crazy. Everybody yawning, everybody talking about it, being like, this is never going to happen. This is all stupid. Who cares? The fucking bug and his eventual freak out. Ah! Jesus. Mono, stop it. Character shaving. Ow. That's actually really cute. Hey! This whole sequence is actually really cute animation on her, but no idea who did it. Got some more artist unknown. Oh, this is as we go clowns in a clown car. It's pretty great. All right, fueling the fire. Great fire. Yeah. And the whole fire motif is throughout and is interesting. Get pushed, get thwacked. This guy getting his push-ups going. Get stepped on. Really cruel, really mean. Oh, that's the same cut. Okay. Okay. Multi-person character animation. Cool. This is part of our flight sequence. And it's artist unknown. This is some of my favorite shit in the entire film. Absolutely. Artist unknown. Look, oh my god. Just that one shot, this one right here. It feels like it's moving through space. I believe it completely. Or this one, Noriyasu Yamauchi. Okay. Cool. It's a cool shot with the takeoff. It's Yamauchi who'd made this part happen as well. I think this part it's just so freaking stellar, all on ones, and they fully speed up smoothly over the course of the run, which means that the distance between each one is becoming higher, so we see them speeding up, and then it starts to get to the blur and the oscillation, and then it starts to look like it's going backwards, and then it becomes a full blur. Utterly bonkers. Crazy Yamauchi. Hey, that's cute. Hey, that's cool. Hey, the whole squad. Hey, there's our release sequence. Absolutely awesome. Hideaki Anno with the debris work. Makes perfect sense. It's so immaculate. As is this. So immaculate. And we see some sequences like this in Gunbuster as well, which work really well. Masaaki Endo and Hideaki Anno with some references. Cool. Some crazy explosion work. That one where the thing just falls into the building and the debris goes everywhere. You know what? It reminds me immensely of the Anno car into another car work and the debris coming out. It actually reminds me of it a lot. I can see the direct through line there. So it's Anno on the explosions, man. It's just Anno. One of the most amazing, if not really the most amazing explosion in anime so far. I agree. Look at the pieces of debris hitting the water. It's just insane. The way that frame by frame the colors morph and the smoke changes and the whole thing evolves. Utterly bonkers. Okay, we saw that one. It's a great cut. Fumio Ida, Masayuki, Yoshinobu Inano, and Yoshiyuki Sadamoto. I don't know who did what on this whole sequence, but it's one of the most impressive things in the film. Just all the way through. It's gorgeous. The backgrounds are great. The compositing and photography is perfect. the expression of this whole sequence, the big background animated climactic scene here in the middle where he jumps on it, utterly insane. Masayuki doing all of this stuff. It's super cool. It's a super neat set of sequences. Kitaro Kosaka on the bike sequence, and this whole thing is really cool. Did he work on? Nope. Wondering if he worked on this, but he didn't. Masaaki Endo presumed with the rocket that then sputters out, and he's like, is that the sign that you were talking about that maybe things are going okay? We're leaving. Big explosion, not an Ano explosion, clearly. Stuff falling and breaking, making there's this whole sequence of this in like The Rocketeer, or even there's this whole sequence of this in the Iron Man movie where people are like trying to make his suit and they're just blowing themselves up. Gosh, there are a lot of videos of failed rocket launches from back in the day when we were trying to figure out how to make stuff work. The whole opening sequence is so stellar. We got got 2 credits and an artist unknown. I'm sure there are more people working on this thing. It's just look at it, the whole thing, man. It's just insane. All of the texture on the metal, all of the lighting on the characters. It feels like Top Gun. It feels like a scene straight out of Top Gun. And that's all that's listed on Sakugaburu. I think there are plenty of cuts that are deserving of being on Sakugaburu, like all over this film. There are, or even like all this technological stuff is crazy interesting. All of the location work is amazing. The surface of this film is. You weren't seeing that. It was the stuff where there were things like pistons and stuff inside the computer room or whatnot. The surface of this film is immaculate. I'll say that again. I have some problems with the flow of it. It's not a movie that I would want to rewatch a bunch of times, unless I was just rewatching it looking at the animation, in which case, super worth it. Not a film that drives me, that makes me feel a lot. A film that makes me really interested, but I don't connect to it. And I usually say something to the effect of like, maybe that's a problem with me. I do think that's a problem with the film, with the way its underlying issues or like underlying plot and themes and stuff actually attach to each other and attach to like the ending that we're going for and all of that. I don't think it works as well as it could. I think there is so much of there is so much good idea here and good motivation and cool and interesting stuff and great world building that I want to see more out of it, and I wish that this film did connect with me on an emotional level, because if it did, it would be so easy to jump at it and just say it's a 10 out of 10, right? Because if it nailed story, if it nailed feeling something, I would there's nothing nothing is close to this on all the other levels. I think this is a really great example of, this is going to be weird to say. This is a really great case study for figuring out what it is that makes Hayao Miyazaki's films so incredible, which is that they are built around a solid emotional core with characters that we relate to, and even if they're weird as hell, we vibe with them emotionally and we go on a journey with them, right? And there's a point to it. And the themes are expressed in a really interesting way. And then layered on top of all of that foundation is the gorgeous animation. And I think that's the difference between hundreds of millions grossing Hayao Miyazaki films that kids, teenagers, adults, everybody can relate to and vibe with and tells their friends about and is excited by and gets like tattoos of and shit, right? Versus The Wings of Honneamise, where you come out of this going, that was a cool looking movie. Nobody's getting a tattoo of this dude's face. Because what would that mean to you? I don't know. It's a film where you can make your own meaning off of it. And if you haven't examined any of the or a lot of the ideas present in the film, the themes and those ideas can spark you into examining interesting things in a really cool way. But it doesn't have that to it that those Ghibli movies do. And I know that's an unfair comparison. Hayao Miyazaki and the staff at Ghibli are like 1 out of a billion creators, literally. But so is Hideaki Anno. He just hadn't quite come into his own in the emotional storytelling yet. And also, Yamaga wrote this. So, I don't know. There's no fault here. This is clearly an incredible attempt to make a debut film, right? A first film. And it nails a bunch of stuff. But a lot of it does feel like it's nailing what would be exciting to the people making it, not thinking about what will be exciting to the audience. Because I know that Anno can get really invested in just cool-looking explosions and stuff, and cool machinery. And so I think that we spend a lot of time just showing the production of a spaceship, because the people who are writing and drawing this film are like, that's the coolest thing in the world. Everybody's going to be super into this. But what people are into is other people. People are into emotional investment in a film. And I think that most of the Ghibli films nail that in a way that this doesn't. And they deliver on the fidelity level. I think this film is like a 7.5 or an 8. Because like going from 5 where it's just watchable to a 10 where it's perfect, it has literally almost exactly half of the things to make it perfect. Right? Like half of them. And they're all the visual stuff. And then it's missing something to tie it all together and make me feel. Okay. That's my piece on The Wings of Honneamise, Gainax's first feature film. It is utterly incredible that a bunch of people without much experience in the industry managed to go in and make this thing. Oh, I know what I was going to do. There's a whole section on the Wikipedia page about the production of this film, and I'm just going to skim it for interesting information. Their pitch for Royal Space Force argued that growing the anime industry required a shift away from works that pleased fans on a surface level, but reinforced their isolation, advocating instead for a different type of anime that attempted to engage with fans as human beings who shared in the alienation issues of a larger society. Ooh, that's rough. Massively detailed alternate world as an attempt to approve existence. Interesting. Late name change. All right, production. Skipping the plot. Production. Proposal by Shigeru Watanabe of Bandai. 5 initial core staff. Yamaga, anime's concept creator and director. Okada, producer. Sadamoto, character designer. Anno, mechanical designer. Kenichi Sonoda, responsible for the model sheets. That's crazy. Project Intentions, a new wave in a time of lost collaborative illusions. Self-analysis of recent animation culture from the perspective of young people. Okay, Okada and Yamaga argued in their proposal that what prevented the anime industry from advancing beyond its current level was that it had fallen into a feedback loop with its audience, producing for them a cul-de-sac of cute and cool-looking anime content that had the effect of only further reinforcing the more negative and introverted tendencies of many fans without making a real attempt to connect with them in a more fundamental and personal way. That's a really interesting perspective, and I think is a really interesting balance to my point about attempting to take in a bunch of information, which is that if the information you're taking in is just like, we use more modern and more loaded terms like an echo chamber, but that works here as a term, it becomes more and more difficult for even sensational works to really connect with people, and even so, those works get forgotten quickly. What's crazy about this is that what they say their core goal of the film is where I find the most flaws in the film, is with connecting to people. That's really interesting that was the thing that they were focused on coming into it, right? The root cause of this is that Peter Pan syndrome that says, I don't want to be an adult. if you look at the psychology of anime fans today, they do interact with society and they're trying to get along well in that society, but unfortunately they don't have the ability. So as compensatory behavior, they relinquish themselves to mecha and cute young girls. However, because these are things that don't really exist, meaning there's no interaction in reality happening between those things and the anime fans, so they don't reflect upon the internal consciousness, they soon get frustrated and then seek out the next anime that will stimulate them, continuously seeking that same kind of stimulation. I want to deliver the kind of project that will make people look again at the society around them and reassess it for themselves, where they will think, I shouldn't yet give up on reality. So this is so fascinating, because this is so much of what I want to do, is to do kind of a reversal on this, which is to talk about the cute mecha and the girls and stuff, and then try to get emotional connection to it out to people, because I think, having been in the situation where I'm just watching anime as a salve for my own inability, my own social anxiety and my own inability or feeling of inability to connect with people, or my own feelings of isolation, right? Anime is something that, as a crutch, was extremely valuable to me as a way of getting out of myself and into something else, literally escapism. I think escapism is over maligned, perhaps. I do think that escapism leads to a loss of self and a loss of ability to affect the world around you. And so a huge part of this project that I've been working on for a couple of years, which has become my life and my livelihood, is talking about anime. A huge part of doing that is trying to turn the emotional experiences that I have watching anime into something that I can talk about and try to share, right? Because that element of sharing seems so crucial to me. It seems so important. So this is really fascinating to read through and to see that that's what they're trying to do. It honestly, it makes me connect to Yamaga and to the creative staff more than I ever thought I would. But it doesn't make me connect to the movie. Okay, increasing tendency of younger people not to experience reality directly, but as mediated through the informational world. Quote, we live in a society mired in a perpetual state of information overload. Absolutely. The feeling of being overwhelmed by the underwhelming isn't something limited to just young people, but everyone. However, this doesn't mean that people want to live alone and without contact, but instead that they want to establish a balance with the outside that is psychologically comfortable for them. I think this is absolutely true. This is probably, they believe that this sensibility among some fans explains why anime often combines plots that symbolize modern politics or society with characters whose age and appearance was completely incongruous with reality. Exact opposite of the cool castle in the sky anime, instead showing realism, and to an extent, I'm extrapolating here, not something that is a specific quote, but to demonstrate, like, if you put yourself towards something, you can achieve insane things, right? And it makes sense for space travel or space flight to be that choice, because it did inspire an entire generation to change the way that they interact with the world, right? Humans can go to space, can do the impossible. A whole generation in the midst of a Cold War for military and sociopolitical reasons was turned to focus upon the space race, It's true. It happened. Okay. Essential play it must feel like reality. I agree. I think that's really interesting, and the expression that they're looking for is reality is so much more interesting than we thought. This is a really fascinating idea. Okay, through Grand Experiment, Toy Business, Bandai. If it was a hit and I could understand why it wouldn't be a big deal. I wasn't aiming for Star Wars, trying to make a success. Blah, blah, blah. And also given a lot of creative freedom, which may or may not have been good. At the time, Hayao Miyazaki said Bandai was fooled by Okada's proposal. But no, that's not the case. I just wanted to try it because it looked interesting. Nobody thought Bandai could make an original movie. There wasn't any know-how, and so we tried. That's pretty fucking cool. I want to make anime professionally, and I want to speak to the world. That's so cool. That's so cool. Initially planned as a 40-minute OVA project. Budget various reported at 20 or 40 million yen. Studio in a rented space, registered as a corporation, made a pilot film, which is 4 minutes long. Cool. Soliciting the viewpoints of Oshii and Miyazaki. Oh, no, this is in a 2004 interview. Okay. Pilot film shown to some people with some concept paintings by Sadamoto. Okada addressed the board with a speech described as impassioned, speaking for an hour on Gainax's analysis of the anime industry, future market trends, and the desire of the young for a work called Royal Space Force. Interim approval, genius boys of the university, the shoujo style of the character, super different, more Ghibli-ish look in the pilot, would have been easier to grasp and express. Okay. The film was Gainax's call to the world of how we would be. The story of the anime is explaining why we are making anime in the first place. The lift up off of the rocket was only a preview of our future when we were saying to ourselves, oh, we will do something. But those feelings are mostly gone, just like memories, just like the person you were when you were young. It has almost gone away, but there is still the real thing, the film that we made that tells our story. Traveled to the United States, studied postmodern architecture in New York, aerospace history at the museum in D.C., witnessed the launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery at the Kennedy Space Center. You know, Anna was in on that shit. Super cool. Close attention to dialogue, such subtle nuance. Yep, it's pretty interesting. Yamaga remarked, I wanted to taste the sense of liberation I could get if I recognized everything about human nature and included it. This film is a film that acknowledges people in their every aspect. You know, to an extent, that's true. A critic once said that none of the characters in the film understand each other, that there's no communication between them. He was exactly right. The characters don't understand each other, but throughout the film, there are moments where there are glimpses of understandings between Shirotsugu and the other characters. In reality, it's okay not to understand each other. People all live their individual lives. It's not necessary to feel the same way another feels, and in fact, you will never understand anybody anyway. This is how I feel about the relationships I have with people in my life. Ooh, boy. Okay. I think this is true. I think that no human can understand other humans, but I do think that it's valuable to try. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Trying to make a realistic film. So we couldn't have the strong dramatic construction you'd find in a Hollywood movie. It's an art film. Yeah, but now when I look back, I realize this was a major motion picture. Bondi spent a lot of money on it. It was our big chance. Maybe if I'd given it a little stronger structure and a little simpler story, change it a little, make it not so different, it could have met the mainstream. I think the audience gets confused at 3 points in the film. The first scene, which is Shiro's opening monologue, yup. The rape scene, yup. And the prayer from space, yup. Why? The film needed a stronger structure, a little more. A few changes and the audience will be able to follow Shiro's thoughts. But right now they miss it, and that's a weakness. But there will be 10 or 20% who follow it and are like, oh, it's a great film, I can understand everything. But 80% of the audience is thinking, I lost Shiro's thoughts 2 or 3 times, or maybe 4 or 5. And they will say, the art is great, the animation is very good, but the story, oh man, they are so self-aware. They so realize exactly what they needed to do to make this mass appeal. That's so interesting. Decentralized decision-making creative process meant there were limits on how much control could be asserted through the script, which means Okada is just bouncing some of the blame for it there. Discrepancy between who Rikuini wanted to be and who she really was is evident in her lifestyle and dialogue. Yeah, no, absolutely. But deep down, she knows the truth. Controversial scenes of assault. Reflect the dissonances present in both her self-image and her image of Shiro. 100%. No, I think that scene is great in that it demonstrates a self-contradictory individual, which happens all the time, and a lot of people are like that. Everybody's like that, right? We think one thing and we act another way. It's just a powerfully, fucked up scene. It's a fucked up scene. The two of them never came to terms, never understood each other, even to the end of the movie. However, even though they never understood each other, they're in some way linked. Yeah, I suppose. Design stuff is all really cool. Art direction stuff is all really cool. Animation stuff is all really cool. There's too much information here. Cinematography is super cool. Not had been their intent to emulate live action films, but to make a realistic film regardless. There is so much on this Wikipedia article. Go and read this Wikipedia article if you're more interested. I found the thing that I was interested in, which is them talking about the story and about their motivations for creating this film. I find it really fascinating. I find out that information really extraordinarily fascinating. And I find this film really fascinating because I 100% fall into that category that he was just talking about of man, the whole thing is really good, but it doesn't nail this like emotionally driven story. There's a lot of intricate emotional and like character stuff going on, but our characters don't like understand each other or seem to grow really in a way that's comprehensible. Okay, this is quite a film. This is quite a film, and I'm going to spend more time digging into the background behind it. For now, I've been recording for 4 hours, so I'm going to call it a wrap. This is going to go up sometime probably tomorrow because it's gonna be a long one to get this edited and rendered out. But this has certainly been an interesting experience to see this film, and it's got some of the most incredible art and background art and animation and compositing and photography and all that stuff that I've ever seen. It's a really spectacular film that doesn't resonate with me, and yet the stories that I'm just reading now about its production and about the ideas behind it and about, I don't know, I guess we could call it the mixed success and failure of this film, financially, emotionally, in achieving the goal that it set out to achieve and like inspiring people to be connected to society. Those things are really fascinating, especially as if we look at them as a starting point for the studio and understand from that where the studio went from there and how they changed from there in order to become a studio that takes cute girls and mechas and things like that and uses them as the visual cornerstones of shows that do connect with people on a deep emotional level. Because Evangelion does exactly that, right? It's got cute girl character designs and cool mechas and crazy aliens, and it's not about them. It's about the people and about connection and about communication, right? And about depression and angst and all sorts of things. But it does that better than this does. Instead of trying to be realistic, it uses the reality of anime, the one that we just approve of. We're just like, okay, there are a bunch of high school students being made to drive robots to fight an extra dimensional threat. Yeah, that makes sense. No, that tracks. That's how anime goes. This is the way it is. And then uses that to tell our story. There's an evolution present that I didn't recognize until I saw this starting point of that evolution of Gainax Studios. And I'm really fascinated by that. It's a puzzle piece that I was missing. And so we filled in a big puzzle piece in the history of Gainax and the history of anime production as a whole. And I think that alone makes this film super worth watching to understand better what these individuals in the creative space are trying for and how their attempts evolved over the years to come, the years that followed. Cool. I'm gonna wrap there. I've been Tiabu. This has been The Wings of Honneamise. I hope you've enjoyed it as much or more than I have. If you've got other thoughts, ideas, information about production, cool things that you know about this film, specific scenes that you want to shout out, whatever, throw them in the comments. If you want to support me for doing what I do, you can find that in the description via Le Patreon. I hate myself for saying it that way. Jesus Christ, please no. What a film. I'll see you next week for something different. Peace.